I have a friend that correctly says airplanes will talk to you. And he's absolutely correct. An airplane will talk to you if you're smart enough to know the language. If you're smart enough to listen to the subtle, maybe even non-audible, just subtle nuances, you can usually, you know, have a gut instinct about something. And that's one thing that I really want to stress here in this video is that as a pilot, you have a gut instinct for a reason. And if you know me, if you get to know me, and I hope you do, I hope I get to know you, you'll hear me talk about my gut. And I'm not talking about my heater down here, okay? I'm not talking about the gut. I'm talking about the gut instinct that a pilot will have, his kinesthetic sense, possibly a sixth sense, if you will, where he kind of knows when things aren't quite right. And again, you can hear a vibration or the way the air is flowing over the wing. You can usually tell if something isn't right if you know the language of the airplane. And again, in an airplane, in time, you will develop that. But you really need to learn how to trust that gut. Now, there's one case in point now where I had a real close call. At least it would have been a close call had I continued to fly. We were flying the 414, that was back in the early days, and there was an airworthiness directive on the exhaust. Every 50 hours you had to inspect the exhaust because you would have the heat coming from the exhaust cause little holes to burn through the exhaust stack. And when that burns through, the fuel lines run right next to that. And what would happen potentially is that super hot gas coming off the exhaust heats up those fuel lines and they ignite in flight with no warning whatsoever. So every 50 hours we've got to check those exhaust stacks for little weakening, signs that you might have a problem. And they're visible, you can spot them. Well, on one month, 35 hours in, 35 hours to the 50, I just had a gut instinct. It was nothing I could sense or perceive. It was just a gut. It said, take the plane in a little bit early and see, just have it done early. So basically I did, and I dropped the plane off and went on my way. 2 hours later, I get a call from the mechanic saying, Bob, you need to come to the airport and you need to see this. When a mechanic tells you that, you get there. So I went, and sure enough, he showed me a spot on that exhaust. He said, Bob, this is about 2, maybe 3 hours from burning through. I've seen a lot of exhaust stacks on 414s. I've never seen one that was this close. And you really did the right thing by bringing this plane in. So basically, it was a gut instinct. I had nothing to go on in terms of information or sounds or noise or smells or anything. It was just a subtle little nagging that said, just take it in early. So I listened to it, and we have a happy ending. I do think, had that thing burned through, there was a very large chance that I would have burned up in flight and I would have died. Then maybe I would have been scared. But in this case, it simply was a situation where they replaced the exhaust stack, and we went on our merry way, and we had a happy ending, and here we are. So the lesson of the story is you have to learn how to listen to your gut. One last thing about that, and it is kind of an elusive topic. There are negative emotions. There are fears. There are little things that people will have like, wow, I really got a bad feeling about today. I hope I don't, get in a plane crash today. I mean, these are normal human emotions. People think these thoughts. Is that a gut instinct? Or is that just a normal human emotion, a negative thought? Sometimes the answer is not terribly clear. And I've seen people react to negative thoughts and they just tend to spiral down. They get into the plane and every time they get in, they think it's their gut telling them something's going to go wrong. And they just decide not to fly anymore. But I think with experience, you do tend to learn the difference between the normal human doubt, the little human emotion saying, man, I hope everything goes well today, as opposed to that gut instinct that says something's not right. Get that plane in there, get it looked at, and you have to learn that. So that's a great lesson, a lesson for all of you to pay attention to. Listen to your gut. It's usually going to steer you in the right direction.